Hi pirate, how you doing? Hi pirate, how you doing? Whenever I'm on, you seem to be on. Haven't you got anything to do with your life? I'm just kidding, I appreciate you coming on, my friend. I really do. Well observed, Josh. No, it's not Saturday. Well, I started an ad hoc live video this afternoon when I was outside. Live video this afternoon when I was outside the hospital with my wife this afternoon. And I kind of got cut off in my prime when I was in the middle of talking, saying over some stories about my grandparents and father and so on. So, so I was kind of in the middle. So I just thought I'd pop in again, say hi. I just come home from taking pictures after an event. I got home around midnight, it's quite late. And always after an event, I need some time to wind down. Whoops, my microphone was covered over there. Yes, I was just saying that after I do an event, I generally need some time to chill. Hey Everett, how you doing? You're really mad at the post office piping, pirate. Why is that? What's happened? Good evening, Austrian Piper. Have you noticed a bunch of people are changing their channel names? What on earth is going on? You've got Artie's Place, he's just changed his name. Pipe and Spirit, Art. The Bearded Welshman has changed his name. Joshua, Under the Oak Tree, now he is. I've forgotten what he was called before. He's changed his. Unicorn Piper's changed his to A Merry Old Soul Is He. Hi Tim, how you doing? Beardless Gnome Joe. It's time you grew a beard and changed your name as well, Joe. Lucite Savinelli, nice. Your channel name is very original, Everett. Patchy Beard Joe. Cheers. Tetler tea. I've run out of Earl Grey. Ah, the Magician Piper is in the house. As if by magic. Corny. Well, I was in Dunhills yesterday, a couple of days ago when I went to the Pipe Club. So I popped into Dunhills, down the road from JJ Fox. Oh, this smells delicious. This is a Juan Lopez. It's known as the number 2, I believe it is. It's a Robusto. I think it's a 4.5 by 50. And it's quite spicy. I've had them before. They're quite spicy, but this one is from I'm not sure. It definitely got a couple of years, maybe 2015, 2016, but it's got a great aroma. Oh, it's so spicy. It's a little bit late to be starting a cigar, truth be told, but what the heck? Chris Mercer, good evening to you, sir. Tobacco Pipes International. And talk of the devil, the John David Project is in the house. That tastes good. Pipes and Pictures. Good evening to you. Or good morning, I should say. It's 1 a.m. here in the UK. Hey, all the name changes are in tonight. Gotta start thinking about a new name for my channel. Hi, John. Yeah, she's doing all right. She had, as you may recall, she did get the good night, Tim. All the best. Hope you're feeling better. Smoking schmeckle. What was I just saying? You threw me there, Pipe Grump. Yeah, so my wife. Oh, the aroma of this cigar is awesome. Can't remember how old it is. I'll have to go back and get some more. This came from a 50 cab of Juan Lopez. I remember smoking these before, probably going back a year or two ago, and they were pretty robust at the time, but I just don't remember them. Very good. Yeah, I saw your video, Ari, so I understand why you changed it. It makes sense. Yeah, listen, a bit of renewal doesn't do anybody any harm. I'm just yanking your chain. I changed the name of my channel not so long ago. I did track the packages. I've just been too lazy to write them down. If you hang on a second. Where are we? It should be in my wallet. Let me take the cigar out of my mouth. That's all right, Pipes and Pictures. We know you're not a trend follower. You're an original boy, like everybody else. That's an old one. Ah, Curmudgeon Piper is in the house. Where is it? This might be it. Reek. So, well, I've got a load of reference numbers here because I sent off 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 packages that day. I don't know which one's yours. I'll have to look it up because I took a picture of each package so I can sort of compare the addresses. I'll do my best to get back to you on that one, but it's there. Don't worry about it. They were posted on Monday, I think. They were posted on the 10th, so you should expect them probably over the weekend or possibly on Monday. G'day, Drop Bear Woodworks. Thanks for dropping in. Anyway, so going back to my wife. Somebody's got to. Well, going back to my wife. A few months ago, as you know, my daughter got married and she twisted her knee and fell during the dance at the wedding. And ever since then, she was in excruciating pain. So she went to the hospital, got an x-ray, and the x-ray couldn't see anything, couldn't find anything. And they said, just give it some time. And She then went back to the doctor. I can't remember the whole sort of chronology of the events, but basically she went to the doctors and she kept on getting pushed from pillar to post. Eventually we just went to A&E, to accident and emergency, and said, we're not budging here until you give this a proper inspection and give it the attention it needs. And my wife said, I need to get an MRI. And my wife is not a hypochondriac by any shape or form. But she said, I know what I need. I need an MRI. Any event, we went to the A&E, got to see a doctor, a lady doctor, fantastic doctor. And she said she can't understand why she wasn't referred to an MRI straight away. She needs to go and get an MRI. So she got referred to the Charing Cross Hospital, which has an MRI unit. So we went there today, and the first thing she had to do was to get an X-ray there. Even though she'd had X-rays at the other hospital, they said that because they'll be doing sort of sorting her out, hopefully, they've got to do their own set of X-rays the way they like to do it, which is fair enough. My wife wasn't too pleased because it just pushed things off again, but I told her that it's fair enough. You know, each hospital has their own way of doing things, so they want to see the whole picture from the beginning, done their way. Fair enough. Anyway, so today was the day that she gets to see the doctor. Got to see the doctor, and the doctor said, yes, we're going to book you in for an MRI. That's another 6-week wait. But essentially, she's got a torn, what is it, a metastasis, something like that. It's essentially the meniscus, that's the one. Oh, thank you. She's got a torn meniscus, and there's not much she can do about it. And it generally tends to improve with time on its own. Surgery doesn't really change that. It might give you some relief of pain. It could even make it worse. In the meantime, a couple of weeks ago, my wife got some steroid injections, and that just took the pain away completely. But my wife has now, I don't know, maybe it was 2 or 3 weeks ago, but now it's already, every so often she'll get a little niggle in the knee. So she's worried that it's not going to last long. The doctor did say that the steroid injections, for some people, can last up to 6 months. For some people, it doesn't work at all. So, so far, it seems to be okay. She's coping with it. And so at least she knows she's got an MRI in the future. So it's about a 6-week wait. And yeah, there you go. That's the NHS. So that's why we were at the Charing Cross today. So whilst my wife was sitting in the waiting room, I went out to have a pipe. So I did a short live stream, and I was mid-stream when she sent me a text, I'm in. So I had to run in. She's a lot better than she was, thankfully, so hopefully should be on the mend. The doctor that we actually saw today, he himself had exactly the same thing. He said he had it about 4 years ago. A torn meniscus. And he didn't have steroids, and he didn't have the operation, which he probably could have got it as he's one of the doctors there. But he decided to let it sort itself out, and he says that occasionally he'll get a little twinge, but generally speaking, it's okay. The John David Project. Sounds very auspicious. What kind of project are we getting ourselves into here, John? I have a feeling that you're going to be telling us how to lead our lives over the next year and be better people. Better husbands and better fathers, I think you said. Yeah, I know, Art. That's... I think she knows that as well. She's the type of person that she runs, you know, a busy household, and does it very, very meticulously. So anything which puts her out is a problem for her. She doesn't like anything out of place in terms of, you know, her schedule and routines. Well, the one thing they did say is that, Art, is that if push comes to shove, they'll give her a knee replacement at some point in the future. But they only get to that stage maybe a few years down the line once they try to do whatever they can. But he did really say that there's not much that can be done. Smoking this Juan Lopez Cuban cigar. Very, very tasty. The burn line's a bit all over the place, but who cares? As long as it's burning at the right end. You sound like you've been down that road, Art. You sound like you're talking from experience. When I'm pretty sure that that will be avoided as much as possible, if only because the NHS won't want to spend the money unless they really get pushed into it. Creaking and cracking is very common. I have that with virtually every joint in my body. I had that since I was a child. I crack my fingers, I crack my knee, I crack my ankle. There you go. That's my hands. That's my elbow. That's my other elbow. I'm a cracking kind of guy. There were a couple of questions. Let me just go back. Somebody said something about a pipe. Which pipe did you buy at the London Smoke 18? David Penrod. I assume you're talking about the Pipe Club of London. And that was this pipe. I have showed it already. That's the one. Haven't smoked it yet. And I think that Jack asked the question, Magician Piper, do you have a rotation of different cigars you enjoy and reserve for different seasons of the year, like maybe you would with pipes? Short answer is no. I must be honest that I've been surprised myself actually at how less committed to cigars I am at the moment compared to a few months ago. My discovery of Virginias and Vapors has sorted that out, and it's really I used to have this need for a cigar, which I still do at times, especially after a job. I tend to have a cigar after a photographic job, because thanks Chris. It's funny because I could sit and do a desk job for a good few hours sitting in front of the computer doing work or whatever it might be, but going out to do a photographic job, I always come back kind of drained, because I find that I'm on full alert all the time, trying to catch that image, that moment, and it's kind of no let up, and you're on your feet a lot. And whenever I come back, I always feel the need to just relax and wind down. And that's with any event, but with the wedding, that's sort of tenfold, that feeling. When I come back from a wedding, having been exposed to usually about 6 or 7 hours of loud music, just need time for your brain to wind down. A vapor is a Virginia Perique. It's a Virginia tobacco, pipe tobacco, which has been blended with Perique, which is a spicy fermented tobacco. It's got a sweet, fruity, spicy, sometimes peppery kind of flavor. Welcome, Papa J 316. Thank you for joining. So I was talking this morning about my father. I mentioned that he was born during the war. During the war? He was born in the East End of London. The East End of London is a dock. It was a very, very busy dock. Lots of shipping routes went from the East End of London. So it was a natural target for the Germans. The Germans. Good night, Austrian. Oops. So there was a lot of bombing of London, especially the East End of London. And as I said earlier on, they came back one day from being in the London Underground, which they used as shelters, the train station, the underground train stations. And they came back and their house was no more. The house was obliterated by a direct hit from a bomb. So we were just talking about the older generation made of the more robust stuff. There was somebody on earlier on when I did my live stream, somebody from Birmingham here in the UK, and my father, I talked about that. My father used to go to Birmingham every week before he retired. He used to work for a jewellery company, for a wholesale jewellery company. So he used to go up to Birmingham. There's a jewellery centre there, a jewellery quarter, if you like. There's like an area which is concentrated with jewellery shops. Oh yeah, art. I mean, we can't really conceive of it, really. We can't really imagine what it's like. Hi, Jim. Obviously, unfortunately, there are plenty of places in the world that have strife at the moment. There's always somebody in the middle of a war. But my father was something like 2 or 2.5 years old during the Blitz, and that time when they were in the underground station. I don't know what it would be like. I mean, his oldest sibling was just a few years older, so maybe 6 or 7 years old, 8 years old. 2-year-old is probably less of a problem because they don't really know what's going on. But an 8 or a 10-year-old, never mind an adult, but an 8 or a 10-year-old, I don't know. The people nowadays, if they had to go through something like that, they would be completely traumatized. It kind of goes back to the discussion about political correctness. You know, we're mollycoddling the generation at the moment with this whole political correctness, to the extent that, you know, when we used to tell people to have a thick skin and deal with things. Nowadays, never mind the thick skin, there's no skin, there's no protection whatsoever anymore, in order. And it's no wonder that psychological challenges are abound in this day and age. You know, people suffering from anxiety, lack of self-esteem, you know, that kind of thing, because they just don't have the tools with which to deal with life's challenges. And political correctness just exacerbates that, and it reinforces all of those issues. And I mean, I'm not blaming the people who have these issues. I feel terrible for them. But it's not their fault. It's because of how, again, I'm not trying to say blame your parents or anything like that, but society is just making the world into a world of wimps. It's a very difficult topic to get into, because once you start talking about a topic, you start getting into lots of other associated topics. I don't know if you guys can hear me, but my main screen is gone, my connection to YouTube, so I've got to just try and see if I can get that moving so I can see what your messages that are coming up. Oh good, okay. So it's just my screen then. Alright, let me just try it on the laptop, 1 sec. It's a conspiracy. I think the political correct brigade have scuppered my internet connection. I can't seem to... I'm gonna just on the phone put the chat up, but in case I miss, please don't hesitate to repeat something. So I can see them, yeah, they found me. I'm just going to bring my screen a bit nearer so I can read you. Oh dear, both of my screens have gone down, so I really don't know what's flying here. The internet connection is active, but yeah, it is active. Anyway, so going back to my... oh, sorry, Jack asked the question about the cigars. So I haven't been smoking cigars as much as I was up to, say, a few months ago. I've been finding that the pipe tobacco has been doing it sufficiently enough for me, and although I still have a cigar pretty regularly, but it's just not as much as before. In terms of which cigars I like at different times of year, I've not really noticed a difference. Perhaps a bit like pipe tobacco, maybe you might be right in that in the winter you might look for a punchier cigar, whereas in the summer you might look for a more lighter, sort of sweeter kind of thing. A lot of people with pipe tobacco as well, they do the same thing. They go for a sweet Virginia during the summer, a zesty Virginia, and Latakia during the winter, something a little bit more punchy. I remember one time my father was, as I say, he was working in this jewellery company, and it's just the type of attitude to work, you know, really working hard and in a very honest way when you're working for other people, to literally make every minute of your day productive so that you're not shortchanging your boss financially by sort of spending an extra minute in the cafeteria or something like that. And I remember they'd gotten in a box of, I don't know what it was, some kind of chain, maybe silver or gold, I don't know. And it was probably just before Christmas period, which is a very busy time. And they got these big crates full of packets, and in plastic packets, like cellophane packets, like Ziploc style, but they were sealed. And in each one was a card on which a chain was hung. And they had to repackage them. So each one had to be opened, taken out and repackaged. And my father, being the conscientious person... Hi Davey, how you doing? Yeah, thank you, that was a good experience. The Pipe Club of London was very, very good meet up this month. So in his conscientiousness, trying to do the best that he could for his boss, he got a pair of shears, and he was cutting through 15 or 20 packets at a time in order to get through this huge bulk of packets. And he just ploughed through them and got through them in record time. I don't know how many packets there were, hundreds by the sounds of it. Obviously he was hammering away at them, getting them cut with these shears. And he's not a youngster. I mean, he's about to turn 80. At the time he would have been probably around the 70 mark, something like that. He was still working till 3 or 4 years ago. And a couple of days later, his wrist and arm swelled up, completely froze, and he was in excruciating pain. He didn't know what to do with himself. He was in such pain, and he had to go to hospital. And I don't remember what they did, but he still suffers with it to this day. And he was always a little bit put out that it wasn't acknowledged at work at all. You know, number one, his commitment to get the job done, and number two, the pain and stress that he suffered as a result. But that's just an example of the commitment and the work ethic of people of sort of earlier generations. My father he never walked, he ran, because he had to get everything done in record time. He was always out of breath because whenever he worked, he was always at full pelt, and he's suffering now as a result. He's obviously he's no youngster. He's turning 80, but the wear and tear on his body is just crazy. It's just ridiculous. To watch him walk now, he's really quite fragile when he walks. He's finally agreed to use a walking stick because he was so unstable. And when you watch him walk, he's like literally hobbling from side to side. He's like watching one of these car things that you put in the front dashboard, which bob from side to side. That's what he looks like when he walks, because both of his hips give him pain. So he's like on one, and then he jumps to the next one, and just literally hobbling from side to side. It's difficult to watch sometimes. And oftentimes, when I look at the way he led his life, it makes me feel really inadequate. Because, you strive to emulate good people, especially your parents. But we're not made of the same stuff. Right, my screen's back on, thankfully. So what's everybody smoking this evening? Hi Meeks, welcome. Bodie Crocker Magnum Opus. That's a nice blend actually. I do like that. Boswell's Best. Ooh, good stuff. Dark Prince. That's your own one, isn't it, Josh? Your grandfather's going into hospice. You know, you always hope that when it gets to that kind of transitional stage, you just hope that people, that they can go through that with dignity. That's really what you can hope for. I haven't tried any of the old Joe Kranzes, and I think they're all Burleys, aren't they? Plum Pudding Special Reserve for Jim. That's a nice tobacco. Brigham System Pipe. That's a Canadian, isn't it? Amphora Full Aroma. I smoked some Amphora Virginia today. I got a package in from... I didn't do a video on it. I didn't want to upset Chad. But I got some more Sutliff Crumble Cake Vapor. I got a tin of the Solent mixture from McBaron, which is a very nice blend. I've got an open one at the moment, but I just thought I'd get another one to put in the cellar. I've got some Virginia Full Aroma and some Virginia, sorry, Amphora Full Aroma and Amphora Virginia. Yeah, I think that's it. Golden Extra, nice. Condor Long Cut. I bought a couple of packets of that for Phil Rivara a while back. He told me that he liked that stuff, so I got him some and sent it to him. Yeah, I have to say it was a good little backy haul. Came in good time from Fawn Loggins. I've now taken to ordering from Fawn Loggins. I stopped for quite some time because their shipping prices were, I'm not going to use the word extortionate because I'm sure it wasn't intended that way, but they just didn't have the best deal for shipping. But now they've obviously found or managed to negotiate a good deal, and it's usually about $24, and that was for 1, 2, 3, 4. That was for about 7 or 8. Maybe about 5 tins and 4 pouches. I saw an article in Pipe and Tobacco magazine about Brigham pipes not so long ago. I didn't realise they were being made in Italy now. Ooh, excuse me. Maltese Falcon. I don't think I've tried that one. Can't help you with that one, Meeks. There is a tobacco that I'd like to get, but I haven't seen it being released yet. If you remember, I had a meet up with a guy called Justin a few months back, and we tried a tobacco which was made by W.O. Larson. You know, the one with the little blue flowers in it. Do you remember? And apparently it was going to be released for Christmas, but I haven't seen it yet. So I was doing a job tonight, bar mitzvah party, and the host asked me if I can do video. I said I can't really do video. I'm doing photos. I can't do both. You've got to focus on one. Excuse the pun. You've got to focus on what you're doing. You can't really be jumping around with a video camera in one hand and a photo camera in the other hand. But what I said to him is that I don't mind bringing along a tripod, and I'll put my iPhone on it and just record the speeches and that kind of thing, which is what he wanted mainly, was the speeches. And it works very, very well. Obviously, it's not as flexible as a camera in terms of zooming and sort of soft focus and all that kind of stuff. But as a tool to record an event, it works fantastically well. I did a whole wedding that way once for my brother's daughter when he got married up in Manchester. He didn't want to have an official videographer at the wedding. He just didn't think it was necessary. But he asked me if I would bring along, if I could use my phone or a camera. I actually brought a camera along, an EOS camera, Canon camera. But I decided to use the iPhone and it was fine. Louisiana Perique with black cherry. In my mind that doesn't work, but it seems that you've had a pretty good first attempt. Yeah, it seems like an odd combination. Southwest Aficionado, how you doing? My orders from the USA take roughly a week, and when I send stuff stateside, it also takes roughly a week. Having said that, those briar blocks which I ordered from Greece took like almost 2 weeks, I think, which is ridiculous. I mean, when I make an order from a Danish pipe shop, I usually get it within 2 days. If I order cigars from Spain, sometimes I get it the next day, but certainly within 2 days. From Belgium, I get cigars sometimes 2 days, 3 days maybe. But this delivery from Greece took nearly 2 weeks. Crazy. The cigar is quite slow burning. It seems quite a well-filled cigar. I'm really itching to get going on them. I've actually drawn out a shape on one of them. Let me show you. I'm not sure if it'll actually end up looking that way, because it's quite a challenging shape. So this is a plateau top. I've got to still investigate how to deal with this plateau top, because it's got quite a rough, like an outer skin on it, and it looks like you have to peel it off. I don't know anything about how to deal with a plateau top, but that is basically the shape. So I want to do like because the grain, it's got quite a fan shape to it. I want to make the most of it. So there's a lot of a nice bird's eye there. I don't know if you can get that. Camera doesn't want to focus. There you go. You can see lots of nice grain there, beautiful grain there. But on this side, you can see that the grain is, I hope that is not deep. So yeah, that should be a bit of fun. I'm looking forward to doing that. I don't know how I'm doing this bit or this bit. No idea. I think it would be quite nice to make quite a fanned out sort of stem. It might look interesting. Make it look a bit artisan-y kind of look to it. And I will try and keep this plateau top. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, it was that kind of thing, a top hat kind of poker, yeah. Very similar to the one that the Daglers did with Joe Case not long ago. So I bought 4 blocks. I would have bought more, but I just wanted to see how it went first before I started spending stupid money. This one's also got some nice grain. These are all filtered pipes. They're all pre-drilled. So this one's going to be probably some form of billiard style, but again, it's going to be a bit freehandy because I've got no way of doing a perfectly round shank. I don't have a lathe or anything like that. So it would be a bit of a challenge to make it perfectly round. So I'm thinking of doing something like an Eskimo style, so with quite a wide shank coming down sort of with an oval, flat kind of idea. Kind of a Canadian, but not. It'll be a lot wider than that. I just think the Eskimo shape is interesting. It's unusual, and it's freehand, so should be interesting. I do like the Canadian shape, but with it being 9mm, you know, Canadians aren't usually nice and oval or flat almost, but this one is going to be hard to do that because of the 9mm drill. Yeah, that's pretty much it really. I've got a few tobaccos which I want to try, do some impression videos on. Had a chat with Harriet Herfer a little bit earlier on the phone. which was interesting. And what was I about to say? Oh dear. It's 20 to 2 in the morning, so my brain is not functioning. I've just realised I haven't got the fan on. So I'm sitting in this smoke-filled room. Hi Elwood. Do you smoke a 9mm pipe, Everett, or do you smoke a regular pipe? I ask that because I'm curious to know how you stopped getting bitten by it. You don't use them, right? So how come you first off got tongue bite and then not? Yeah, I have tried those. Are they 3mm or 6mm? The rolled up paper. They definitely do something, but they can't compare. I've yet to find anything that comes anywhere near the 9mm carbon filters when it comes to dealing with tongue bite. And I've got to say, I don't like being preachy or anything like that, but when I take some of my filters out after being smoked just once and I see the way they look, it is quite frightening. I've not tried the Amphora original. I did have it in the basket when I did that order from Phone Login, but I actually removed it. I just went with the Virginia and the full aroma. But I do want to try that at some point. Yeah, I've used the paper ones in a cob as well. And there was some difference. There was certainly a difference, but just not enough for it to make sense. Yeah, I mean, it's all varying degrees. You know, everybody has a different degree of tolerance to tongue bite. So if you've only got a mild issue, then a 6mm balsa is great, and it opens you up to a huge range of Savinellis. I don't know why they're so invested in 6mm. And the amount of 6mm pipe, I think all of their pipes, unless they state 9mm, are 6mm pipes. I think it's only the Autograph range or some of the other artisan aspects, ranges done by sort of freehand range, the expensive ranges of Savinellis that are sometimes not filtered. But otherwise, I think all of the run-of-the-mill shapes are all 6mm or 9mm, the majority being 6mm. Alright people, I'm not functioning very well at the moment, too tired, so I'm going to wish you all a very good evening, very good morning. What, you're talking about Boswell pipes? Yeah, that is a problem. I mean, I've virtually come to a halt with Boswell purchases, and if I do, I'm always very careful to get one with a thick shank so that I can convert it to 9mm if I really want to. But although the Boswell pipes smoke exceptionally well, I can get an original Moretti made with a 9mm from the off, you know, for the same kind of money. So to me, it makes sense to just do that. All right, everybody. Curmudgeon, Joe, Russell, Josh, Elwood, Scott Free, Meeks. Who else have we got here? Elwood, Papa J, 316, Meeks, I've said you already, Everett Young, Southwest Aficionado, Pipe Nutter, or rather Drop Bear Woodworks, and everybody else. Thank you very much. We all have our kryptonite with tobacco, yeah. Hey, Josh shaves. I'm glad to hear that you do. Shave, that is. Well, everybody, hopefully see you Saturday night. Although, I can't even speak straight. Saturday night, I'm not sure what's going to be with that because my wife is travelling very early Sunday morning. I've got to take her to the airport at around 4:30 in the morning on Sunday morning. So I'm not sure what's going to happen. I'll either go to bed really early and then get up, say 1 in the morning, something like that. So maybe I'll do a live, but it'll be later. Or I'll do the live much earlier and have a little bit of a sleep before I go to the airport. Or I just won't do a Saturday live stream for 1 week. What can you do? The puffing alien is in the house. I'm afraid you've caught us at the tail end. I'm struggling to keep my eyes open at the moment, and my head is perpetually moving ever downward, and my chin is hitting my chest. There we go. I'm down. Zzz.